Have you ever wondered what are the most counterfeited products in the world? Designer handbags, perfume, iPhones? We're here today with special guest Jayne Durden to discuss the answer to this question. And the answer might surprise you, maybe even scare you. This is Stuff You Should Know About IP. Today's episode of Stuff You Should Know About IP is brought to you by the Trademark Lawyer magazine. If you want to stay up to date with everything that's going on in the world of IP and trademarks, go to www.trademarklawyermagazine.com. Each issue is free to read for up to 8 weeks. That's trademarklawyermagazine.com for global news in the world of trademarks. All right, Tom, Jayne, let's talk about counterfeited goods.
All right, so Jayne, just to warn you now, we have millions of people watching, okay? Millions, not dozens, millions. And to date, you are our greatest counterfeit expert. Like, you know more than Tom and Ray combined. So help us with Ray's really interesting question about what are the most counterfeited goods? What are counterfeited goods? Let's start there.
Excellent. So counterfeited goods are goods that don't come from the place that you think they come from. So Ray was right. You're most likely to think of this as the knockoff Louis Vuitton purses or a pair of Nikes sold on the side of the street. They're shoes or handbags that don't come, surprise, surprise, from Louis Vuitton or from Nike. And they are everywhere. I bet that you've got something counterfeit sitting in the room that you're sitting in right now.
Well, but here's the thing though, Jayne, because you said that they're not from the place you think they're from. Yep. But trademark infringement is all about tricking people into buying stuff that they think is from a different source. So how does trademark infringement differ from counterfeits?
Excellent question. So when you've got trademark infringement, you've got a similar, identical, or confusingly similar mark that's being used. So instead of Nike, you've got Nyko or something that looks or sounds similar, right?
Oh my God, I have Nyko sneakers.
You do.
So they're fake. Yeah. I have Nyko sneakers. I thought they were real. I thought it was a new Nike brand.
They're original Nikos, but they're probably a little cheaper.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, it's funny. They were only $12, and I thought it was weird.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I got some friends who can help you out there. So often counterfeit goods actually have the identical brand on them. If you walk down the street in the market and you pick up a pair of Nikes, they're going to have the swoosh on them. They probably got Nike on them, but something's not going to be quite right. But here's the issue. Put a pair of not Nikes on and walk down the street, and probably the worst that can happen to you is you get a sore foot, they fall apart, you get a bit embarrassed when someone goes, they're not real.
Right.
That's not a problem. But actually, the problem with counterfeits is massive when you look at what's happening in the background. Now, the FBI and a number of other areas of our government are really, really interested in counterfeits. So counterfeit goods account for a huge amount of laundered cash. So there's a huge link between sales of counterfeit fake Nikes and organized crime. So that's
you said laundered. You said laundered cash, money laundering, right?
Yeah.
So people are trying to take dirty money that they got from selling drugs or something and put it into the system somehow so that they could use it to get mortgages and in their bank accounts and everything. So you're saying these counterfeit products are actually used also as a vehicle for money laundering.
That's right. So, and you certainly see there's a huge link that the FBI and other branches of the government are really interested in because of the link, to drugs and other areas of organized crime. So that's an area of direct harm. So already we've got, you haven't got what you paid for. There's this link to organized crime, but there's
sore feet. We got sore feet, right? So you didn't get what you paid for. We're laundering money. My feet are killing because of these Nikes, which, by the way, makes me think Nikes aren't good. Right? Because I thought I had legitimate Nikes and my feet are sore. And I'm like, why does everyone pay so much for these?
For Nike, right?
Yeah, so I'm diminished. The brand is being diminished.
Exactly. So you can see why in this case, look, everyone wants to go and take action, but look, what's the harm, right? But you don't want to know the answer to the number one counterfeited good? Did we build it up enough?
No.
didn't?
We absolutely did. We want to know the number one counterfeited good. Go ahead.
So it's not sexy. It's actually just plain scary. The number one counterfeit group of goods in the world are airplane and vehicle replacement parts. So what does that mean? That means you take your car down to go and get repaired, and they put in what should be a Bosch who's in my what's it underneath your hood until I work on cars.
Yeah.
And it's not real.
I thought that was a real replacement part.
Who's in my what's it? Yeah. Look, I do know about brake drums and things like that, though, and that's what you're seeing in the marketplace. So again, in a vehicle, you've got massive potential for harm. But did I also say airplane replacement parts?
That's terrifying.
So that's absolutely petrifying, right? So we've got these counterfeit parts going around in the marketplace above our heads in very large, very, very dangerous vehicles.
So I'm careening down the hill. I press on my brakes, and I don't realize there's counterfeit brake drums.
That's right.
So when I press on my brakes, they don't work.
Yep.
That's scary. But worse, more scary is when I'm in a plane, because in 2019, I think I was gone 89 nights. Most of those trips were on planes. So you're saying that the thing that keeps the plane up might be counterfeit.
Yeah, I'm not casting any aspersions on any of our any of our airlines over here. But who knows, right? So the problem with counterfeits is good counterfeits are almost imperceivable from the original goods. Like there's actual science to detecting counterfeit goods. It comes down to sometimes the products are nearly identical, and it's only the packaging and the way the glue spots are put on that alerts people to the fact that these are not real. That's how clever counterfeiters have got. But at the end of the day, if they're not the real products, A, there's harm that it might break, but B, Tom, if something did happen, you're really stuck, because here, okay, we won't put you in a plane. We'll put you on a tiny moped, just so that the accident doesn't hurt you.
Yeah.
You're mopeding down the down the street.
Not, by the way, that I've ever driven a moped.
But
go ahead. Let's just imagine in some parallel universe where I was a lot less manly, I was on a moped. Okay.
Oh man,
I don't want you to get hurt in this scenario. So I'm giving you a very low velocity vehicle.
Okay.
You're heading along, you put your hands on the brakes and nothing happens. Now, you crash into, I don't know, what are you going to crash into?
A tree.
No, you're going to crash into one of those big wobbly people outside a car. I want it soft, right?
Okay, gotcha.
You cause some damage. So here's the problem, though. When you've got counterfeit goods in your car, you've got no form of recourse back to any original manufacturer. And so therefore, if you did get sued, you'd have problems all the way back because you don't have original parts in your car. And so the liability here in the United States, with the way that things work with insurance, look, you'd be fine. You've got insurance and you only ran into a little soft wobbly man.
Right.
But you can see the problem both for consumers and for the general public. And we go on and we go on. So,
one thing that jumped out at me, Jayne, you said that the products, these counterfeit products, are identical sometimes, except for the little glue spots and a little bit of the packaging.
Maybe.
You don't mean that the guts of it are identical, because that's the problem, is that they're lesser parts and they're cheap. They're more cheaply made, right?
Yeah, that's right. So counterfeiters are great. They'll make things out of different materials. So if your car parts were supposed to be made out of steel, they make it out of something else and then make them out of a lower grade and paint them silver.
Right.
You don't know if the electronic elements are correctly made. You have no guarantee of quality. And remember, basics of trademarks, that your trademark is the designation of the quality and origin of goods and services. So
right, yes.
Origin of it, you knew that it came from Bosch or that it came from somewhere, and quality was you knew it came from them. And so therefore you've got some recourse that you understand how it was made and how it should behave.
And an expectation of quality, right? You have
Absolutely.
An expectation of quality, which is now gone. So number one, we have the buyer is harmed because they bought something that wasn't real, that they thought was real. The real brand owner is harmed because now somebody thinks that the Nike sneakers aren't good.
Yep.
But also the public is harmed because now you have moped drivers careening all around, driving into those wiggly men, right?
Exactly.
So
exactly.
car dealers hate counterfeits. Yeah, car dealers absolutely hate counterfeits because they spend a lot of money on those wobbly men, right?
Exactly.
They don't want moped riders like Ray driving into them.
No, but
Hey,
add
don't
on
make
to
fun of
that,
me and my moped.
you're rocking yours too. Add on to that one more problem, right? So 10, 15 years ago, your moped breaks down, you hitch a ride and you go off down to your car manufacturer parts place and you buy one off the shelf. That's not how we buy about 90% of the things we buy. What do? You go on Amazon, you go online, you go and look for a deal, right? And so now we've got a problem of you're not even able as a consumer to look at it and go, that doesn't look quite right. By the time you've got it, it's not going to look quite right. So what are you going to do? A few years ago, I was late for a meeting, flew into San Francisco, realized that I'd left my toiletries bag on the seat in the airplane. What did I do? Couldn't find anywhere else to go and do it. I Amazon primed myself a whole lot of things that I needed before my meeting. Turned up at my door really quickly, quick is great. But I picked up my Estee Lauder products and looked at them and was like, it's not like the package of the one that I have at home. That's funny. And then I smelt the product and was like, it's not what it normally smells like. I'd flown into San Francisco and bought myself some counterfeit Estee Lauder products from Amazon.
Wow,
from
Amazon.
Exactly. And so as our mechanisms of buying things as consumers are changing, we're losing a lot of those other protections that we would have actually had, right? Someone who sold it to me, who looked at it and went, it don't look quite right. Or me knowing that I've got to buy it from a proper store to make sure I'm more likely to get proper goods. And so we're losing that. And so you can imagine that there's actually even more harm at the moment. So tell me the number one time we buy things online in America.
Pokemon cards.
No? But you're jumping ahead. You're jumping ahead. No, I'm just saying that we've got Black Friday and whatever they call it,
the
online
Cyber
Monday, right?
Yeah,
Cyber Monday. And here's the deal. What are people most likely buying? They're buying toys for their kids for Christmas.
Oh, yes.
And so now you've got kids' toys sold online and deal. My favorite part, I didn't even tell you this beforehand. I went and had a look at what the federal government's doing. They're having a fine old time. They're really taking this problem seriously, and they are enacting legislation. And 3 pieces of legislation were passed between 2019 and 2020. And what I love about this is that Congress has got together and had a blast with naming the legislation. I kid you not, the legislation in order was the Santa Act of 2019, which is the Stop All Nefarious Toys in America Act.
Wow.
Brilliant. But wait.
Brilliant. Love it.
By early 2020, we now have the more innocuous Shop Safe, which means shopping harmful offers on platforms by screening against fakes in e-commerce act. But not finished. They had a third go, which is called the Informed Consumers Act of 2020. And this was the final bit of protecting people online, which is the Integrity, Notification, and Fairness in Online Retail Marketplace Act. I mean, come on.
Nice.
That's creative.
Great names. I love
that
it.
person well.
Yeah, no, those are some good names. All right, so I already spoiled one of your surprises. So let's talk about Pokemon.
So Pokemon cards, I got involved with Pokemon cards and counterfeits when I first came to the States. And I worked with someone from immigration, and the former Immigration Enforcement Act. The senior special agents there are responsible for enforcing counterfeits and trademark infringement when imports are made. It's now Customs and Border Protection. And the agent that I was working with was working on 2 cases. And I was like, oh, this is great. We're protecting the world. Number 1, Pokemon cards. And again, I was kind of like, okay, what's the harm? Well, doing a little bit of prep beforehand, I looked up, and in October 2020, do you know who Logan Paul is from YouTube? He's one of the top YouTubers.
YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was duped out of $375,000 worth of Pokemon cards. It turned out that he'd bought Pokemon cards that were fake. Now, nice problem to have, right?
Yeah. So in other words, his entire batch was Mew and Mewtwo. I only know that those are the two most powerful Pokemon because my kids used to play them all the time. And when I saw Mew the first time, I thought, no, that's a cute little 1-inch tall creature. That can't be dangerous. And they said, no, Dad, Mew is the most powerful Pokemon until the genetically modified Mewtwo, of course.
There you go. You lost me at Pokemon, but it's obviously a big problem.
I actually think I still have some of mine lying around somewhere.
Well, hopefully they're legit and you didn't suffer from what that YouTuber had, $375,000 of bogus Pokemon.
Yeah, if I'd have known that they're worth any thousands of dollars, I might have done a better job preserving them instead of stuffing them into a drawer.
I think Pokemon cards are the new Beanie Babies, although Beanie Babies are coming back, I think, or something. But look, the second case that he was working on was about golf gloves and golf balls. And again, you're like, what's the difference? Well,
yeah, you were saving the world, Jayne.
I know, we were saving the world one Pokemon and golf ball at a time. But look, in August of 2020, just last year, China actually seized $120,000 of golf products alone in one single go. So you can see the massive proliferation of this is just one seizure. It's pretty incredible.
That is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And wait, so they make golf balls. I used to golf a little tiny bit, and so the problem with the counterfeit golf balls is you're out there and you're getting ready to smack the ball. You're normally, I don't know, Ray, you're probably a big hitter, like 300 yards or something.
No way.
But it only goes like 180, and you're like, wait, what happened with my 300-yard hit?
Now I have an excuse.
It was
Counterfeit
counterfeit
must be counterfeit
ball. Don't blame me. Exactly.
Yeah, counterfeit golf balls. Yes. Yeah, and you could even say, oh, those damn counterfeits. They're killing me.
Yeah.
And then so right now, though, is U.S. Customs seizing all kinds of counterfeit products every day from our borders?
Yeah, so Customs and Border Patrol, one of their remits is to enforce intellectual property. And you can see at certain times, especially when this really peaks. So we were talking about at Super Bowl, huge time for counterfeit goods with counterfeit, licensed hats and things like that coming in. But any brand owner, through their attorney as well, can go off and can seek to register their brand with CBP and have CBP enforce that. So what this means is that when the container ships come in, CBP can and will go and enforce your brand by doing checks of goods that are coming in to check against your brand to make sure that they look good. So the golf glove thing was handled that way. That was actually one of the first. So this is definitely 15 years ago. This was a group of the agents down on the docks with a copy of the mark and the brand and what it was supposed to look like, going onto ships and then seizing that entire container until it could be checked. Now, why is this important? What it's important is it's stopping them getting into our economy, and it's making sure that those goods don't get there, which is actually really important. Stamping out people selling them on the side of the street, it's like whack-a-mole. You're just going to find another group picking them up. But what it also does is it gives the brand owner the evidence that they need to actually be able to start to take action. So they've got the specimen, they've actually got a documented seizure of the goods, and it's really good. And every time CBP does this kind of seizure, it does have an impact also by showing people that we're serious, we will enforce intellectual property rights, and we will disrupt the import of
I'm guessing that they have like some AI or something, because there's got to be thousands of brands that are registered with customs, right? I just can't imagine a guy with a clipboard looking through, oh wait, there was Pokemon on here. I thought I saw Pokemon when I was playing around with this earlier. There's got to be some kind of brains to this, right?
That's a really good idea. We're working on something in my day job where we're looking at counterfeit enforcement, and we've got an app that we've been doing. But I will say that I think one of the problems at the moment is there are so many brands. You look at the number of trademarks filed every year.
Oh my God,
the problem, like I said, is just keeping up with that. And for law enforcement to be able to keep up with it is really, really difficult.
It must be harried, right? I mean, there are probably, because I'm an intellectual property lawyer, and I've registered products with customs, and I assure my clients, don't worry, I'm registering with customs, but I'm thinking to myself, there are thousands of brands. And back in the olden days, by the way, when I was doing this a lot in the 90s, before the emergence of the internet and all kinds of cool electronic stuff, they were probably just looking by hand, right?
Absolutely. Tom, I was telling you, when our first jobs in Australia, we were gone for the Olympic bid, and I had to go down to the market in Melbourne, go buy hats was what they told me. We want everything with an Olympic logo on, and of course they're there. Well, the trick was to go and take someone who in Melbourne at that time spoke Vietnamese, because what we were trying to do was to buy it in the market, get somebody speak to the seller who could tell us where they bought it from. Can you imagine?
Yeah,
We're
right.
literally, Inspector Gadgeting it sort of back along the supply chain. So you're exactly right. People are getting smarter, and I told you that we use sort of forensic investigation types of mechanisms. There's a whole area of investigative services and investigators who do online searches and online forensic investigations using incredible mechanisms to actually get back into that supply chain and catch people before those things make it. So when I say CBP is going down to go and pick up the shipping crates and containers, sometimes there is intelligence that you can get that shows that it's more likely that it'll be on that one than that one. And hey, we think something's coming in. Can you please do it?
Yeah, and they have to know what they're looking for.
That's right.
And that's why they sent you down there with the baseball bat to slam the table and demand that they tell you when the next shipment was coming in, right?
It was a golf club for the golf ball.
Yes, that's
you're
right.
exactly right. So,
that's right. Yeah, you used the driver though, right? Yeah, I can imagine that scene, Jayne. That was in your early days as a lawyer. And you thought, I'm not going to be. You thought when you went to law school, I probably won't be hitting anyone with a golf club at a flea market ever in my job. And your first day, you're down there beating people up with the golf club.
I did come out thinking I should have done more golf in law school and courts and other things like that. But.
Right. But so Jayne, tell me, is there something even more dangerous that's highly counterfeited than aircraft parts and Pokemon?
Yeah, look, so second most counterfeited goods are pharmaceuticals. And we know this is a problem as people more increasingly are buying pharmaceuticals online. We know that as pharmaceutical costs rise in the US, people are buying them from Canada, and understandably. But the problem with that is massive, massive area of counterfeit. So I kind of glibly raised the question the other day of, what are we going to do? We're in a time right now where I've got, thank goodness for pharmaceutical developers and thank you innovators, because we're waiting for and so incredibly reliant on these COVID vaccines. And I sort of flippantly said to you the other day, what would happen, if we had counterfeit COVID vaccines? Well, quick search of the internet this morning showed that the World Health Organization has put out a warning that they think that counterfeit COVID vaccines are getting into the supply chain. Now, we're unlikely to get this in the United States because of the regulation and the massive sophistication. But think about developing nations. Think about nations that need this and think that they're receiving it from one place and don't receive this. And look, the impact of that is actually on all of this, as we're finding out. So,
wow. Yeah, that is. That brings it home.
But that's that's what we're talking about.
I would say that probably brings it home better than any of the examples you've given are counterfeit COVID vaccines. Yeah. Could you imagine that? You get your shot, you feel secure, but all you got was just some sugar water.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, that's pretty scary. And Ray, on that terrifying note, I think this has been a great podcast.
Yeah, Jayne, I really appreciate, and we both, on both of our behalves, appreciate you coming here today and sharing this information about counterfeited goods. And I'm a little unsettled, I'm not going to lie, but it's important that people know this. And so thank you so much. And for everyone who's watching, if you enjoyed this podcast, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And importantly, share the podcast with your friends. And we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks.